Have you ever asked yourself, why do some people collapse under pressure, while others stand firm like mountains in a storm? Why do certain minds break at the first sign of hardship, while others grow stronger, wiser, more focused? It's not luck. It's not genetics. It's something deeper, something trained. In the noise of modern life, where stress is constant, emotions run high, and control seems to slip through our fingers, we all search for something solid. But most of us look in the wrong direction. We try to fix the world around us. We chase success, validation, certainty. And yet, our peace remains just out of reach. The Stoics knew better. They understood that real strength doesn't come from controlling the external. It comes from mastering the internal. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This video isn't just about philosophy. It's about 8 Stoic habits, 8 powerful disciplines that will train your mind to become emotionally unbreakable. These aren't abstract ideas. They are real practice tools used by emperors, philosophers, warriors, and now you. Each habit reveals why modern life feels so mentally overwhelming and how to reclaim your clarity, calm, and control. By the end of this video, you won't just understand Stoicism. You'll feel it in your bones. Welcome to the Stoic Code. Subscribe and join our community of seekers walking this path of strength and serenity together. Number 1. Mastering the present moment. Your mind is the only place where peace can ever live. But most of us abandon it every day, chasing ghosts of the past or fears of the future, while the present moment slips through our fingers unnoticed. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Confine yourself to the present." Why? Because the present is the only space you actually have power, not imagined control, not future predictions, real grounded influence, right here, right now. When we drift out of the present, we stop living. We start ruminating, catastrophizing, reacting, and in that haze, we become weak, not because life is too much, but because our mind is too scattered to meet it. Every emotional storm, anxiety, regret, overwhelm, begins when we try to live outside of now. But when you anchor yourself in the moment, everything changes. You breathe slower, your thoughts untangle, your choices sharpen, and that's where Stoic strength lives. In the ability to meet reality as it is, not as your fear distorts it. This isn't abstract. It's practical. You're in a heated argument. Pause, breathe, come back to the now before you speak. You're spiraling about a mistake. Return to what's in front of you. What can you do in this moment, with these hands, with this breath? The Stoics trained presence like a discipline, because they knew the present is the only place where clarity lives. It's where reason can be applied, where character is tested, where calm is built. So if you want strength, not the kind that postures, but the kind that endures, you need to return, again and again, to your breath, to your posture, to your power. Train this habit, because the moment you return is the moment you begin to reclaim your life. Number 2. The strength of gratitude. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful when things go well. That's easy. Anyone can do that. The real test is whether you can remain grateful when life feels heavy, when you're tired, uncertain, or in pain. Seneca said, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." And he meant it, especially when there's little to feel grateful for. Because gratitude at its core isn't a mood. It's a mindset, a trained lens through which you view the world, especially in its darkest hours. When things fall apart, your mind will instinctively search for threats. It will latch onto what's missing, what's unfair, what hurts. That's survival. But gratitude is the rebellion. It says, "I see what's broken, but I also see what remains." And that small shift, that deliberate act of noticing what's still intact, is the beginning of resilience. In real life, this looks like pausing during chaos and remembering, my heart is still beating. I have one person who believes in me. I have this breath, this moment, this second chance. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship. It reframes it. It reminds you that while you can't always control your circumstances, you can always control your focus, and in that focus lies power. It's not about being blindly optimistic. It's about being grounded, real, aware of the full picture, including the light. Because when you train your mind to see even one thing worth keeping, you weaken the hold of despair. You create space for perspective, and in that space, strength grows. Build this habit. Start small. End each day by naming what stood by you. A moment of calm, a lesson from pain, a hand on your shoulder. Do it consistently, and you'll build a mind that can stand even when the world shakes. Because the strongest souls are not the ones who've never suffered. They're the ones who still find something to be thankful for. Number 3, building inner strength. Inner strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you forge, choice by choice, habit by habit, thought by thought. And nothing reveals its absence faster than adversity. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and later became one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, understood this better than most. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That one line, simple but sharp, cuts through every excuse we carry, because life will hurt, people will fail you, plans will fall apart. But the only thing that determines whether you break or rise is the strength you've built inside. So what is inner strength really? It's not emotional suppression, it's emotional mastery. It's the ability to sit with discomfort without running, to feel anger without being ruled by it, to walk through fear without letting it define you. It's a kind of groundedness that doesn't flinch when the world tries to shake you. And it doesn't just happen. You train it, you sharpen it in the ordinary moments, the daily frictions, like resisting the urge to complain, like staying calm when others lose their temper, like choosing to show up even when your mind is filled with doubt. Real strength comes from repetition, from habits, from mental reps. Write when you feel scattered. Breathe when you feel rage. Move when you feel frozen. Reflect when you feel lost. Set small goals and keep them, not because they're life-changing, but because keeping promises to yourself rewires your mind to trust your own power. This is how the Stoics trained, not in dramatic displays of endurance, but in silent disciplines, practiced daily. They knew that hardship isn't a detour, it's the training ground. They didn't fear struggle, they used it, like a blacksmith uses fire to forge steel. So ask yourself, how are you using your struggles? Are you avoiding them or shaping yourself through them? Build this habit, because when everything outside of you feels uncertain, it's the strength inside that decides whether you rise or fall. Number 4, the power of patience. We live in a culture that worships speed, faster results, instant answers, immediate validation. But the Stoics knew that anything worth becoming takes time, and that rushing the process is the fastest path to ruin. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly," because real growth, deep, lasting transformation, doesn't obey your schedule. It unfolds, quietly, gradually, like a seed breaking through the soil or a wound turning into scar tissue. Patience isn't passive, it's active endurance. It's the calm strength of someone who's not controlled by their impulses, who understands that just because something hasn't arrived yet doesn't mean it isn't coming. That just because you're uncomfortable now doesn't mean you're not evolving. In everyday life, this means resisting the urge to rush healing. It means staying committed when results are slow. It means showing up to the work, whether it's emotional growth, career building, or spiritual clarity, even when nothing seems to be changing. And patience isn't just about waiting. It's about who you become while you wait. The Stoics taught that time is the forge of character, that enduring difficulty with grace, without bitterness or panic, makes you unshakable. So when things aren't happening fast enough, ask, am I rushing out of fear, or am I willing to trust the slow work of growth? Train this habit. Because strength without patience is just tension. But strength with patience, that's resilience. Number 5. Control what you can. Nothing drains your energy faster than trying to control what you can't. And yet, that's where most people live, fighting reality, resenting outcomes, obsessing over things completely outside their reach. Epictetus, who lived as a slave before becoming a philosopher, learned this truth the hard way. He taught, some things are up to us and some are not. That's the Stoic filter. Every situation you face passes through it. Is this within my control or not? Most suffering begins when you forget that distinction. You stress over someone else's opinion. You rage at traffic, at politics, at the weather. But none of that bends to your will. The Stoic path begins when you stop wasting energy on what you wish you could change and start focusing on what you actually can. Your attitude, your words, your actions, your values. That shift is liberating. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're responding from a place of clarity. You reclaim your agency, not over everything, but over yourself. And that's where power lives. In daily life, this looks like choosing your tone in an argument, even when provoked. Letting go of outcomes at work and focusing on your effort. Practicing calm in chaos, not because the situation is calm, but because you are. This mindset doesn't just bring peace, it builds strength, because the less you cling to control over the uncontrollable, the more control you gain over your own character. Train this habit. Ask yourself daily, what is mine to govern here? And then govern it well. Because in mastering what's yours, you become immune to what isn't. Number 6. Strength through struggle. Everyone wants to be strong, but no one wants the struggle that creates it. The Stoics knew there is no other path. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. In other words, pain is the forge. Adversity is not an interruption of your growth. It is the growth. The fire doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It burns away illusion, weakness, dependency. And what's left, if you stay with it, is something real, something sharp, something unbreakable. But that only happens if you stop resisting the struggle and start using it. If you see hardship not as punishment, but as preparation. When something painful happens, the Stoic asks, what is this teaching me? What part of myself is being trained here? My patience, my humility, my endurance. In real life, that might mean accepting a breakup not as personal failure, but as a call to deepen your self-worth. Losing a job and treating it not as defeat, but as a test of creativity and resolve. Facing illness or grief not with bitterness, but with a fierce commitment to stay present and alive, even in pain. Struggle is unavoidable. But suffering, how we interpret and carry that struggle, is a choice. And the Stoics chose to carry it with dignity, with composure, with strength. Train this habit. Let every setback sharpen you. Let every loss reveal your true shape. You are not here to avoid the fire. You are here to become the person who walks through it and walks out better. Because in the Stoic path, the struggle is not the enemy, it's the sculptor. Number 7. Seek wisdom always. In a world obsessed with being right, the Stoic chooses to keep learning. Because wisdom isn't about having all the answers, it's about never stopping the search. Seneca wrote, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. That's not just advice, it's a worldview. The wise don't see knowledge as a destination, they see it as a path, a lifelong discipline, a daily practice of becoming just a little clearer, a little calmer, a little closer to truth. To seek wisdom is to admit you don't know it all, that you're still growing, that every experience, every failure, every joy, every conflict is a lesson waiting to be uncovered. It means asking, what can this moment teach me? What am I still blind to? What fear is still shaping my decisions? The Stoics weren't interested in cleverness. They were interested in clarity. They asked hard questions. They examined their lives with brutal honesty, not to judge, but to evolve, to become more just, more disciplined, more understanding. In real life, this means taking time to reflect, not just reacting, reading ideas that challenge you, writing about your failures, not to shame yourself, but to see them clearly, listening, really listening, to people you disagree with, because wisdom grows in tension, not comfort. And when you're faced with uncertainty, wisdom says, don't rush, look deeper, don't pretend to know, stay teachable, train this habit. Because the moment you stop seeking wisdom is the moment you start drifting, away from your values, away from yourself. But when you stay on the path of learning, you stay grounded, guided, evolving, because wisdom isn't a thing you acquire. It's a way you move through life, with humility, curiosity, and the courage to change. Number 8, lead with compassion. In a world that rewards self-interest and noise, compassion is a quiet form of courage. And the Stoics, for all their strength and discipline, knew that the greatest strength is found not in power, but in connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids." He believed we are not separate, but woven together in a shared human fabric. To forget this is to lose ourselves. To remember it is to become fully alive. Compassion doesn't mean being soft. It means being strong enough to care. It means seeing the pain in others, not to carry it, but to honor it. It's the ability to say, I see you, I don't need to fix you, but I refuse to ignore your humanity. In real life, this shows up in the smallest ways. Choosing patience when someone is short-tempered, offering kindness when it's least expected, checking in with someone who seems distant, not because it's convenient, but because it's right. Compassion transforms both the giver and the receiver. It bridges gaps. It softens hardness. It turns isolation into shared strength. And when practiced consistently, it becomes a kind of internal architecture, shaping how you lead, how you love, how you live. The Stoics weren't cold. They were clear. They knew that wisdom without empathy becomes arrogance, that strength without compassion becomes cruelty. So they trained both, the mind to stay sharp and the heart to stay open. Train this habit. Practice compassion not as a reaction, but as a principle. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Because in a world that often feels divided, the choice to connect is an act of defiance and of deep Stoic strength. This journey through Stoic wisdom, take a moment, not to rush into the next thing, but to let these 8 lessons settle into your mind. Mastering the present moment teaches us to return to where our true power lives. Gratitude reminds us that even in struggle, something is always worth honoring. Inner strength shows us that how we respond matters more than what we face. Patience invites us to stop forcing life and start trusting its timing. Control reminds us to let go of what isn't ours and master what is. Struggle, when faced with intention, becomes the forge of character. Wisdom isn't found, it's cultivated step by step, through reflection. And compassion grounds us in something larger than ourselves, the quiet strength of connection. These are not habits to perfect, but practices to return to, daily, calmly, and with purpose. Growth is not a dramatic leap. It's a quiet, consistent commitment. And every small act of discipline, every choice to pause, reflect, and realign brings you closer to the kind of strength that doesn't shout, but endures. If this path speaks to you, subscribe to the Stoic Code and walk with us. We are seekers, students of stillness, committed to living wisely in a noisy world. Join our community, share your reflections in the comments, and let your journey encourage someone else on theirs. And remember the words of Epictetus, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Until next time, stay grounded.